Stop scrolling. This video found you for a reason. One of these cards holds the message you're meant to hear right now. It's a message about your next chapter. It could be a reminder, a warning, or just an encouraging word. Don't overthink it. Just trust that your card is calling to you. And if you're ready, let's see what your card reveals. This first deck is the Garbage Pail Kids Tarot, and your card is the Empress, number 3 in the Major Arcana. This second deck is the Tarot of the She, and your card is the Dreamer Queen, the Queen of Swords, Gift of Reason. And our third and final deck is the Wildwood Tarot. And your card is the 10 of Stones, the 10 of Pentacles, which they call home. Now, if you've made your choice, stay tuned for the full readings. Pile 1, your card for your next chapter is the Empress. You're entering a chapter of creativity, of abundance. You're going to grow new things. You may already have some idea of what that's going to look like. Maybe you've been working on a project and now is the time to push. Now is the time it's going to come to fruition. Maybe you don't need to push. Maybe it's going to grow naturally. You're going to feel inspired. You're going to find your muse. Let's learn more. Wow. Okay. These are not the cards I would expect to see. These are not cards I would immediately associate with the Empress. So there's an important warning here. We have 8 of Swords upright. We have the Magician reversed, the 2 of Swords reversed, and 9 of Swords reversed. What does this mean? Well, I think there's an important message here about being deliberate. Because if our reality is what we make it, and we're experiencing an unprecedented period of growth, what we give birth to is going to depend upon where we're at, our headspace, our mental and physical health, what we're focused on. If you're not careful, you could give birth to your own nightmare. If you're not being deliberate and taking action into your own hands, if you're not weighing the consequences of your actions, you could very easily find yourself in a world of your own creation that you do not want to be in. It might not be the one that you had expected to see. So let's not get ahead of ourselves with this Empress and think that because growth is going to happen, that it's going to be positive without us even trying. Let's not forget that we have to take absolute responsibility for that creative energy. We are absolutely responsible for what we give birth to. The tools of the magician have to be used wisely. There's a real danger of impulsivity here. You can become your own worst enemy. If you're just wielding this sword willy-nilly, you could be the one that pays the price. Ignorance is not bliss, as a matter of fact. When you go sleepwalking through life, you're very likely to stumble straight into a nightmare. The theme of what I'm seeing so far is conscious creation, deliberation, the responsible use of our tools, our magic, our creative impulse. That's going to be really, really crucial for this next chapter to turn out positively, to turn out the way you want it to. So that's an important warning that each and every one of us should heed. And let's also get a little more information about what we can expect to see if we're using our tools of creation responsibly. Actually, what I'm seeing here with the Ace of Swords reversed and the Four of Coins reversed is that sometimes you can get in your own way by overthinking either overthinking a new idea, or overthinking your need and your desire for long-term stability. Now, long-term stability is important and it's something everyone needs, but we cannot see the end of the road when we first embark upon our journey. So sometimes it can be really counterproductive to view everything through that lens. The Ace of Swords reversed and the Four of Coins reversed is giving me a feeling of an unwillingness to take the steps that you need to take to embark upon this journey of new growth, because you're so worried. You're so worried that it's not going to work. Instead, what you need to do is be open to new opportunities, be open to something that fills your cup. When you feel that feeling, go ahead and follow that. Because when you follow that, you might be able to, find that road towards some kind of long-term stability that will in fact pay off. Just because you don't see it now doesn't mean it's not there at the end of the journey. And it's that feeling of emotional alignment, emotional satisfaction that is going to be able to guide you. It might not necessarily make sense on paper. It might not make sense according to some kind of plan you have, a financial plan, or just it might not be where you thought you were headed this whole time. But I'll also say the thing about this is line 1 and 2 are very at odds here, or seemingly at odds here, because while I'm telling you to, I guess, essentially follow your joy, the warning still stands. The warning that if we move too impulsively without weighing our options, it could get us into a lot of trouble. So the sweet spot is going to be somewhere right in between these two things. You could be a person who is prone to move impulsively, or you could be a person who is prone to move too slowly, to second guess everything. We're all going to have to learn how to be a person that balances those two aspects of ourselves in this next chapter. We're going to have to find that each one of those ways of being has its place, its role. We can follow that spark of joy, and we can do it wisely. We want to listen to our emotions, and we want to be smart about it. We want to make sure that we're not letting them lead us in the wrong direction, that we're not being motivated necessarily by like ego or pain, but instead really being motivated by that which we find ultimately and truly fulfilling, whatever that looks like to you. Creativity can look a lot of different ways. It could look like some kind of visual art, or maybe you play an instrument, or it could look like seeing a need in the community and creating a mechanism that could fulfill that, like creating a mutual aid organization, especially at a time like this when we are all going to need to lean on each other more than ever. It could mean creating change within your family, maybe, or like a friend group, or maybe at your workplace. Maybe those emotional relations are stagnant and people are feeling hopeless, but you see a way in which you could be that bridge. I mean, my point is that creativity comes in all shapes and sizes. So, whatever that looks like to you, the most important thing to keep in mind is going to be that need to find that balance, to be able to both respect the information that your emotions are trying to convey to you, and to take total responsibility for what you do with them, for how you react to them. Because your reactions and your ability to either take responsibility or not is going to have every impact on what you grow in your garden in this next chapter. Pile number 2, you are entering a period of contemplation, perhaps a period of solitude. You're looking at the world around you, assessing what you've built for yourself, your relationships, your career, your home, and you're really coming to understand how you got there. And you're going to be weighing those things according to your values, because you've come to a point where you finally understand your values better than you used to. And ultimately, you're going to be cutting away that which no longer jives with your values. And don't be worried about that, because at the end of this chapter, anything that you've cut away has just made room for something new. Let's see the rest of this story. So, what I want to say here is you're going to be getting clarity on something that has probably been really important to you for a really long time, even maybe somewhat of a burden. Not that you don't love it, it's a labor of love, but you may have reached the point where, well, you have reached the point where it needs to be reassessed. You need to decide which way to take it next, which way to step next with it. Is it something that is going to continue to fill your cup, something that you want to continue to invest in, or have you really kind of lost sight maybe of why you started it in the first place, lost sight of the meaning that it once had to you? I'm not saying that's the case. I'm saying that what you'll need to do is get clarity on that and see where it takes you from there. Which path is the correct path to move on based on that decision? Wow. Because here's the thing, you are someone who could do so many different things. You're so smart, you're so sharp, you're a people person, you're emotionally intelligent, passionate about so many different things. And it's possible that you've just been putting a lot of your energy in the wrong places. So, what's going to be happening for you in this next chapter, this reassessment, this seeking of clarity? It's not going to be easy to come to the conclusion, if you do come to the conclusion that you have to let this thing go. That might be one of the hardest decisions you've made, because you probably can't imagine a future without this particular thing. It's probably that meaningful to you. It's probably that central to your belief about who you are. So if you decide to let it go, who are you? Wow. So much wand energy here. That's incredible. If you decide to let it go, that's going to mean reassessing everything you ever believed about yourself. But what we're being assured of here is that that's completely worth it. You're going to come out on the other side with a completely better understanding of yourself, of what you want, of what you can contribute to your community, your family, your loved ones, the world at large. You have so much to contribute. You have so much there below the surface, just begging to come forth. But maybe you thought that this project, I'm just calling it a project, I don't know what it is, that you were pouring yourself into, that you've been pouring yourself into for a long time, you thought that it was going to emerge, that it was going to be fulfilling, that it was going to help you feel like you had found your purpose in the world. But it really, well, this is up for you to decide, but you're going to have to ask yourself if it did that, if it is doing that. Maybe it did do that once upon a time, and maybe it's not doing that now. I'm saying that because of the Four of Cups card. And maybe it's time to realign that energy, to find something that is a little more in alignment with who you are now, and not who you were then, or who you thought you were, or who you thought you would be. So with the Dreamer Queen, with the Queen of Swords, the task is to be brutally honest with yourself to gain that clarity. To be brutally honest with yourself, to be brutally honest with any loved ones around you who you might have to be brutally honest with. That's another thing that keeps us tied to old versions of ourselves and projects that we're misaligned on, and keeps us putting our energy in places that really aren't productive for us, is those emotional attachments, those friends and loved ones who, I mean, they've known us for a long time, right? So they believe we're still that person that we were 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. So we're not only proving to ourselves how we've changed, we might also have to, I don't want to say prove that to others, because I don't think that's what it is. But I think express that to others. We don't have to prove anything to anyone besides ourselves. But we're going to have to maybe let them know that we've changed and we're going in another direction, and that's just what has to be done, whether they like it or not. Okay, we might have to cut ties with something or someone meaningful. It's not easy, but that's how you're going to find that deeper fulfillment that you're looking for, and that sense of purpose that you've been looking for this whole time. It's all I'm trying to say is that it may have shifted for you, and you're not stuck. You're not tied to a decision that you made in the past. You get to reimagine yourself and your future and your purpose. And that's what this new chapter is all about. Pile 3. This next chapter for you is going to be all about finding home. That may mean returning to people and places that you once knew, or it could be about embarking on a journey to find a place that you've never found before, but that's calling to you. The kind of place where when you're there, you just know it. You just feel it in your heart. It may not be a place at all. It may be a person. It may be a purpose. It may be a feeling. It could be anything. That's what you're going to find out. Here's what I know for sure. When you find it, you'll know it. When you find it, you'll feel it. You have the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Wands here, upright, and you have the Page of Swords reversed and the Eight of Swords upright. So I'm not saying this is going to be easy. You're being called. You're being called, first of all, in this direction. And the journey itself isn't going to be a cakewalk. You know, it's going to be a little cold, a little bleak. And if you try right now to imagine the beauty of the eventual person, place, or thing that you are going to find that you will call home, I think you can't imagine it. When you look ahead, all you see is this. All you see is this struggle. But you cannot let that deter you. You have to have faith in these aces, in the spark of life. That you are being called to seek this spark of life, that's what's going to be here waiting for you to keep you warm. What's motivating this journey, this change? There's something that you want out of life that so far you have not been able to realize. And I think it's become clear to you that you're never going to get it unless you go out there and find it. I think you've realized that you are extremely capable. And I think you feel like your talents and abilities are kind of being wasted where you're at. Perhaps you believed that everything you wanted would fall in your lap. I do not blame you. I do not blame you. I don't know. I think when I think about purpose, when we're young, it's really easy to believe in like fate and inevitability. This sense that like I'm special or my life is special and I just have to wait and see. I just have to wait and see what happens. But waiting and seeing really hasn't gotten you what you were looking for. And you're thinking more and more about your future, your legacy. Like at the end of your life, you can look back and say, wow, I did that. I did that. Because as we get older, this like idea of YOLO, you only live once, almost starts to seem threatening, right? Like, oh, you only live once, and time, she's a ticking away. She's a ticking away. So you have gotten clarity about how that works, that if you want something, you have to go get it. And I don't think that you're delusional about what you want. I think you're coming across really humble here. What you want is just like emotional satisfaction, or, this little place you can call your own, caring for loved ones and, just living a quietly fulfilling life. I think that that's what you're after. But in a world such as the one that we live in, even that seems to be slipping away day by day. Even the possibility of having a quietly fulfilling life seems to be slipping away when we can't pay our rent or buy food without scrambling and struggling and hustling for the resources. So I think what you're after is in this chapter is finding or maybe creating a future that feels stable and abundant and emotionally satisfying. And again, I say creating, not finding. I really do believe that's what you're on about here. I want to pull another couple cards. Yeah, you're no longer sitting around waiting for the universe or for anybody to hand you any favors. You're not wasting your energy anymore. You are ready. The Woodward is such an incredible card. This is someone who has been battle tested, someone who has been through the dark, who has survived many winters, and who has the tools and the courage necessary to embark on a very deliberate journey through whatever may come, the wilderness that may come. And that's you. That's you right now. Nothing can get in the way of you finding/creating this for yourself. This is what you want. And this chapter is going to be all about you going to get it. I almost want to say at any cost. All right, my beautiful, perfect, precious loves. I just want to do one more thing for all of us as we embark upon this next chapter. Get some wisdom from the White Light Oracle, some words of encouragement as we move along our way. The Theta of Venus, her appearance in a reading signifies a time of creative and spiritual awakening, a reminder of the power of the heart and our ability to rise again after a time of karmic heaviness. This oracle reminds you that you are not bound by the ways of this world, and that part of our this oracle reminds you that you are not bound by the ways of this world, and that part of your higher purpose is to help heal, soften, and awaken humanity. Even if you find it hard to feel at home on Earth, perhaps sensing you're from the stars, know you're meant to be here and that you belong in a very special way. There's a home here for you with the Earth Mother. You are loved and needed and will attract whatever support you require to fulfill your destiny. So attune yourself to higher consciousness by choosing to access the purest frequencies of love within you. Acknowledge lower frequencies such as judgment, fear, doubt, or shame when they arise within or around you, but do not give them a foothold in your heart. You're ready for higher understanding, to see things in a new and more positive light. Allow your inner knowing to guide you on a unique, beautiful, and highly spiritual life path.